Welcome back to Studio Life, everybody. Today we're going to be checking out some headphones. Paul Third and Ed over at the Working Audio Tools podcast, and Paul's other podcast about studio headphones and all that kind of stuff. Probably got the ball rolling with the Hifiman Ananda Nanos, and I've had a few people since then say, yeah, you need to check them out. So I got onto Hifiman. They sent me a pair about a week ago, and I've been testing them out. So let's find out. Are they? Ananda Nanos, headphones in general. Interesting subject. I think it's one of those things. For years, headphones for me was something that we used when someone was recording a vocal. Very rarely checked anything on them for years when I started my career. It just wasn't really a thing back then. It's become more of a thing. I ended up mixing an album about 7 or 8 years ago. I'd say the majority of it I did the work on headphones, but I did end up spending a day in a studio checking it all at the end. It's not something that's part of my workflow generally. I check on headphones, but I don't mix on headphones. And that's because I'm lucky. I've got a studio it just sounds great. It's got great bottom end. It's very well treated. I don't have any issues with sort of, nulls or modes. It's just really nice response in here. So there's no advantage to checking on headphones other than sometimes you can hear some detail or something on headphones that you might not notice in the room. But it's always interesting. Mastering, sometimes I'll check out on headphones. You can sometimes hear some more detail in the bottom end, possibly. Depends on the headphones. Anyway, I've been using up till now for the last couple of years, I think. I've been using the Austrian Audio HX65 mastering headphones. They sound pretty decent to me, and although I don't use them lots, if I do check on headphones, this is the headphones I check on. I use them when I'm traveling, not often doing anything particularly serious when I'm traveling, but they are useful to have around. I like the fact that they fold very flat and small and go in a little case and go in my rucksack nice and easy. I've really got to know them and to love them over the last couple of years. So I've tested out headphones at trade shows and stuff. It's not the best place to do it generally. But with the Hifimans, I've been seeing so much about that company. And it took me a while to get that it's the same one that people were talking about, because it looks like Hifiman, but apparently it's pronounced Hifiman. They've got a whole range of headphones going from very reasonable price to some crazy prices. So when the Ananda Nanos, everyone started talking about them, especially Paul. And I saw the prices relatively reasonable, so I thought, I've got to give them a try. This might be something I'm missing. So I spoke to Hifiman, and they very kindly sent them over for me to check out. No money has changed hands. I'm sending them back after the review, so it's completely unbiased. I'm not a big headphone fan. This is just me seeing if the hype is really true. Now, last time I did a headphone test, that was with these things, which are still in the box. What are they called? They are the Talaman Titan 660X, these things, which I thought were pretty good. They were all right. I did this weird thing where I was clamping headphones over a figure of 8 microphone, and yeah, that didn't really work. I mean, it was funny and it was interesting, but I don't think we achieved very much. Testing headphones isn't really something you can do on a video. So I did it earlier and I filmed it just so you can see my reaction, basically. And I'm flipping between the Ananda Nanos and the Austrian Audio HX65s because I know them, and also flipping between those and my monitors. And I tried to set the volumes of the headphones so that they were pretty much identical to each other and to my monitors, and I'm flipping between them. So have a little watch of that. You might get some idea of how I felt just by watching my expression. Anyway, let's look at that now. The Ananda Nanos from Hifiman. Let's see how I feel about it. Okay, let's start the track, and we'll start on my monitors.
A little fun, turn it up before she's gone. Drive everyone will be cool. She dancing around in my tight dress. I feel like my
Interesting. Very interesting. So there you go. That was me testing out the headphones. What can I tell you? First of all, they do sound different to the Austrian audios. I wouldn't say they're a million miles away. It's not like there's this massive quality difference. There isn't. They both sound quite similar. How did I sort of perceive it? I kind of perceived it like the Austrian audios. They don't sound anything like NS10s, but they reminded me a bit of NS10s when I was flipping to the Hifimans. The Hifimans sounded a little bit more hi-fi, I guess is the best way to put it. The bottom end sounded, it didn't extend any lower, but there was just something nice about it that maybe wasn't there in the Austrian audio so much. And possibly a downside, the Ananda Nanos are very bright, and it really didn't notice so much A being with the monitors, but it really noticed A being with the Austrian audios. There was a lot more top there. So from the point of view of mixing on them, I think I'd have to use an EQ curve to bring the top end down a bit. It's just a little bit too much sizzle at the top end, which I think could get fatiguing over time and could also lead to you turning your top end down on everything, which means you might get a dull mix. So that might need looking at. On the rare occasions I use headphones whilst mixing, which again isn't often, it's just now and again, I do use real phones, so that would possibly deal with that. But overall, how did I feel about them? Aside from the test, I have been using them for a week. They're pretty comfortable to wear. I'm not a big fan of wearing headphones for long periods of time, but they are comfortable. You don't have to really rag them. You don't have to have them very loud. They still seem like they're being very honest at lower volume, so I think that's a good thing. But yeah, I've enjoyed them, and I'm very aware that if I didn't have this room and I couldn't, if I had issues with the bottom end, I think they'd be excellent, because they are, they sound very accurate. You can hear when you've gone too much at the bottom end. That's probably what a lot of people struggle with, working in bedrooms or less than ideal control rooms. That's where these are going to really be of value. The top end thing is fixable. I would say look at it though, because you don't want to be mixing everything a little bit dull. Let's give you some specs. They go from 5 Hz at the bottom all the way up to 55 kHz at the top, so well outside of what you need, which is great. 94 dB of sensitivity. They are 14 ohms. They were driven pretty well by my monitor controller. I had plenty more to give if I needed to. I think if I was going to be mixing on headphones, I'd be looking at one of the topping headphone amps. Go and have a look at Paul Third's channel that he does with Emra, because they talk about all that stuff. One of those topping headphone amps is probably going to get the best out of these. So go and check out their channel for that. Let's talk about price. The RRP, if you go and buy them from Hifiman, it's $499. That might sound like a lot of money, but if you think these are like incredible quality studio monitors that just sit on your head, so from that point of view, I don't think that's too expensive at all. You can get them for around $369. Sometimes you see them discounted. I think they're discounted at the moment. You might find them on Amazon or somewhere like that, so have a look around if you're interested, but go and have a look at the Hifiman website. There's a whole bunch on there that is going to be really interesting. Lastly, I will say, I know I said the Austrian audios reminded me of the NS10s in the fact that they're a little bit more sort of, what's the word, in your face, maybe a little bit more crunchy. That sounds like the wrong word to me. These have incredibly fast transient response, I would say. They're very punchy, and for something that's got such a smooth low end, I found that really nice. So yeah, if you get a chance, go and check them out. I think they're excellent. It's got to be 5 stars, because there's nothing wrong with them. That toppiness can be totally just EQ'd out, and it might be something that changes over time anyway. I don't really know whether headphones do that. Is there a burn-in time for headphones? I have no idea. But yeah, excellent. 5 stars. I can't fault them. I would recommend trying a pair out. If you're looking for some headphones that are going to basically replace the idea of having studio monitors, it's not really my bag, but I can totally see why people would be into it. Anyway, there you go. That's that. The Ananda Nanos, 5 stars. All good. If you could like the video, that really helps. If you could subscribe to the channel, that helps even more. There's an Instagram, which is Mixdown Mastering. Go and see what I get up to most of the week and find out about courses and all that stuff. There's the website where we've got the top 5 plugins and more about the courses and all that kind of stuff. And I will see you in the next video. Adios, people.